Welcome to my channel. I'm Alexa. Today we're making gingerbread Christmas trees. I measured out all my ingredients and I recommend that you do so too. You can find a full list of ingredients and measurements in the link in the description. Remember to watch the video first so you can be prepared. To start, I'm going to sift my ground ginger, cinnamon, baking soda, allspice, ground cloves, and flour. This is to make sure there are no clumps. If you don't have a sifter, you can use a wire whisk or a fork. When you're sifting, you can push the ingredients through using a rubber spatula or a spoon, or you can tap the sides of it with your hands. If your sifter has a stand, you should tap the sides of your sifter after it looks like all the ingredients have fallen through it to make sure no ingredients are stuck. Today I'm not using a sifter with a stand, so I don't have to do this step. Next, I'm going to cream my butter. Creaming your butter means putting it into your mixer and letting it mix by itself so it actually loosens and becomes creamy. This allows it to combine better with your other ingredients. Some recipes tell you to cream your butter with your sugar, but I find it combines better when you cream the butter by itself first. My butter is sticking to the bowl, so I'm going to scrape it off of there using my rubber spatula. Now I'm going to add my brown sugar and applesauce. I'm going to mix this until my batter is fully mixed together. Some butter is sticking to the side of my bowl, so I'm going to scrape it down again. Before I added my next ingredients, I'm going to scrape down my bowl again. Next, I'm going to add in my egg. Before I add in my egg to the mixing bowl, I'm going to scramble it quickly with a fork. This will let it combine better with my other ingredient. I'm going to scrape down my small bowl with a rubber spatula so I can get in as much egg as I can. I'm also going to add in my molasses. I coated my measuring cup with a little oil to get the molasses not to stick as much. I'm going to quickly scrape down my bowl again to make sure my ingredients are all mixed together. My batter looks good, so now I'm going to add in my sifted dry ingredients from before. Some of my dry ingredients are sticking to the sides of my bowl, so I'm going to scrape down my bowl again. My batter looks great, so let's move on to the next step. Now I'm going to get my batter ready to be chilled. To start, I'm going to put some flour onto my parchment paper. Next, I'm going to use my rubber spatula to maneuver the batter onto the flour. Next, I'm going to make it so the flour covers the batter so it doesn't stick. I used a little too much flour, but it still works well so long as you wipe off as much flour as you can so the cookies don't only taste like flour and look whitish in color. I'm going to use my hands to flatten my dough into an 11-inch by 10-inch rectangle. This will make it easier to roll out after it's chilled. I waited overnight before rolling out my dough, but you can do so 2 hours later if you want to get it all done in one day. I used a rolling pin with rolling pin measurers, so my dough was rolled out to 1/8 of an inch. You can use a ruler if you don't have rolling pin measurers. When my dough got too large, I cut it in half so I could work with it easier. You can cut the dough in half or smaller if you want before you start rolling. Now that my dough is the right height, I'm going to cut it into a rectangle. Now that it's cut into a rectangle, I'm going to cut it into 3 strips. I'm then evenly dividing the strips so I can get even triangles. Then I cut zigzag lines so the cookies are cut into triangles. Do this until you use up all the batter. I make mine all different sizes when I use up all the batter. If you would like some exact measurements to make all your cookies the same size, then make your strips into 3.5 inches. Then cut them into triangles. Place your cookies 1 to 2 inches apart. Next, I'm putting my cookies into the oven. My oven's preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. My cookies took 12 minutes to bake. When they're done, they should be soft to the touch but brown on the bottom. I would start checking around 10 minutes. Wait to make the icing until the cookies are cool. The icing will thicken as it sits. I waited until the next day to ice mine, but you can start doing it the day of as long as they're cool because we don't want the icing to melt. To start making my icing, I'm going to sift my powdered sugar. This is very important because if we don't do this, the icing will have mixed in clumps of powdered sugar. If your sifter has a stand like mine does, tap the sides of it after it looks like all the ingredients have fallen through to make sure none are stuck. Next, I'm going to add in my melted butter. I'm going to mix this until the butter is mixed in. Now I'm going to add in my water. I'm doing so 2 teaspoons at a time. I used 10 teaspoons of water, but use however much it takes for your icing to be smooth and spreadable, but not runny. Next, I put my icing into a piping bag. Now I'm piping zigzags onto my cookies. After I do that, I'm sprinkling my cookies with decorative sugar. You can also use rainbow nonpareils if you want them to look like Christmas trees. And my gingerbread trees are done and looking delicious. Please let me know what you thought of the video in the comments and how the recipe went for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you can see when new videos are added. Thank you and enjoy.